good enough. I started it early. Sorry, guys. I didn't let you finish the music, but I knew you've been waiting for me. I had some audio issues, and I shouldn't have because I went and did a test this morning. I tested it all last night, and then Denon came in, saved the day. I don't know why, but I got to wear these headphones instead of my in-ear monitoring. But thank you guys for waiting, being patient. We're 16 minutes late, but it's okay. We got a lot to talk about today. I brought on my friend John from Coronation. I know a lot of people like hearing what he has to say. A lot of takes coming out of John's mouth. So I'm gonna bring him in right now because John's been waiting patient just like you guys have. John, hello, hello.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. I don't know about Nebraska football fans because they've all been basically all over the place. Half of them are excited about tomorrow, half of them are miserable for basically the rest of the season. And although I feel good, I'm channeling that energy of, I would call it a little bit of negativity. So it's been weighing me down. I'll be honest with you.
No, what's been weighing you down?
Just the aura around Nebraska football. There's so much excitement. For me, at least, there's still something to get up for tomorrow. There's still a reason to watch, but all the comments and I'll be honest, the lack of views is really hurting me. All of the
Yes.
all of the setbacks that I was hoping we wouldn't have this year because the team was supposed to be better have now come to fruition. And I was like, there's no way it's going to happen again. There's no way that we can see a season go down the toilet like we have before. And yeah, the energy that I'm getting is the season's going down the toilet, even though that's not actually true. There's still something to be excited about. It's just, some of the stuff I read and some of the stuff I hear just is a little disheartening.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, where did people really expect this to end up? I mean, my thing at the beginning of the year was 6-6 and get to a bowl game. And I think that's certainly in sight. It's hard to go through what we saw against Michigan and still have any faith, and that's where you hope that your football team and your coaches can pull themselves together and the people that I can't remember who said this. It was a Phelan Sanders or MJ Sherman, was it? That said, we're going to find out who's one of us, that kind of
I think
thing.
that was
In
Phelan.
other words, we're going to find out what our team is made of. And I complained in years past about Scott Frost teams when they get smacked in the mouth, they just kind of fell apart. And I guess, this is going to show us what Nebraska is going to look forward to or what they're going to look like the rest of the season, I think. And I realize that there's all of us that are fans. We're not in the locker room. We're not in the coaches. We're not there every day. We don't lift weights. 98% of
None
us
of us,
anyway.
yeah, none of us actually know. So I hear you.
But, for us, it's disheartening because the vibe is, you can feel it. I mean, it's really, for the Michigan game, there was almost no buzz whatsoever. And then we got steamrolled and walked over like children. It wasn't quite as bad as a mascot game. One of those games where the mascots play little
Yeah.
kids and they're just flowing. It wasn't quite that bad, but it was nasty to watch.
Well, James hit
But
us with,
Illinois,
here's a follow-up to this, what you're already talking about. James hit us with a super chat, $5. Thank you for the support, James. He says, do you think the team is ready mentally for Illinois tomorrow? So going off of what you just said about Phelan Sanford, and we don't know what's going on in the locker room, do you feel like based on what we know so far, or at least what we've heard from Rule talking about practice and everything else, that they're going to be a little bit more locked in and focused? Because I think I heard Sean Callahan say it could go either way. They just got punched in the mouth, and
right?
they're either going to rebound or they're just going to continue to spiral like they do every other year.
Oh, I think the key is, you know, whenever you're playing a team sport, everybody on the field has to be aligned. They have to be all ready to go. They have to know their assignments. I mean, that's what did they say?
John's internet just froze up on me.
They also looked really flat. And I mean, they've looked flat for a couple of games. So, it's going to be important. I think they come out with a lot of flair and the guys, quite frankly, I guess Matt Rule and his coaching staff will be able to look at the players on the field and say, you know what, we asked you to do this and this and this, and you didn't. And Bob the freshman over here is going to take the rest of your playing time for the rest of the year because
That's a
you're
really
not,
good point. I think that if the
yeah,
guys don't come out mentally ready, the guys who don't are going to get benched. And I think Matt Rule is not
yeah,
going to tolerate guys who don't do their job. If they don't execute, if they don't play with fire, then he's going to play the next guy up. Because Matt Rule, he
right.
said it this week, he's tired of looking like shit. We're tired of watching shit. And where is it? Colby says, John, promise me you won't be filming. And then somewhere else it says, from the bathroom. Oh, there it is. From the bathroom tomorrow night. So pretty much all of us are on the same page, right?
Yeah.
So since we're all aligned, Matt Rule's aligned, I feel pretty damn good that the team's going to come out excited, motivated. They're going to play with heart and passion because the guys who aren't are going to get benched. That's just the truth at this point. That's my guess. So,
Yeah.
well, I went to the game last week. Oh, John's internet froze up on me again. I'm going to tell him when he comes back his internet's freezing. John, can you hear me?
Yeah, I've had problems with my internet for the past 2 days.
It's okay. We'll let you keep freezing up as long as you can as long as you can
Okay.
hear the pieces.
What did you heard what just got announced right before we went live, right?
Can't say I did.
Dick Butkus died.
Oh, I did hear that part. Pretty sad.
And Dick Butkus was probably one of the most famous fighting Illini football players of all time. So you kind of look at it and go, will the Illini have emotion tomorrow night? I kind of look at it and go, you know what? The guy was 80. I don't remember seeing, well, yes, I do remember seeing him play for the Bears. He was in movies. He was in stuff. He was a funny, hilarious guy. People loved him. I don't think that means much to 20-year-old guys right now, but maybe it does to people in the fans, or if you're, a member of the university that you love being at, maybe it'll be more emotional for them. But, at the same time, Illinois has looked, did you want to go to Illinois right away, or did you want to tell me about your Michigan trip?
No. I want to go to Illinois. Let's talk.
Okay. Illinois has just looked really lost on defense. They looked like, well, honestly, they looked like they lost a really good defensive coordinator, and they did in Ryan Walters. That's why he's the head coach at Purdue. And
so maybe they'll channel the ghosts of Butkus energy. I don't know.
It's still about walking on the field and having the confidence. You can have all the emotion in you. I put it this way. If Nebraska would have walked on the field against Michigan last week and said, we're going to play our hearts out, guess what would have happened? They would have been beat 38-7. I mean, Michigan's a machine. They have no weaknesses. They're probably going to win a national title. The emotion is great sometimes, and it can hold you together when things fall apart. And that's been a big problem with Nebraska, but it doesn't just win games. I mean, what it's nice to see for us as fans is for the people on the field to start getting the battery energy from the crowd that's excited, and then the team feels that energy and they get more excited. That's the thing about home games. And is Illinois going to have that? I don't know if they are, because they're just, again, their team looks, well, they're missing a lot of guys from last year.
They're a lot like Nebraska, to be honest. The fan base they feel the same way as we do. They don't want to watch a shitty product. What was it? Instagram. So there's an Instagram post yesterday. Illinois posts up the game graphic, and the top comment said something along the lines of, we're not going to show up until you guys give us a good team. I've seen that comment 1,000 times in the Nebraska Instagram pages. So it's kind of the same feel. And Illinois doesn't really have a right to feel that way. They had one good season, and now they're acting like it's the end of the world. Look, go and support your team. They're coming off of what they win 8 games last year. Yeah, they're still in position. I made that whole Illinois preview video, and I broke down why whoever wins this game is going to be in 3rd place in the West, and they're going to be in position to, I'm not going to say exceed expectations for this year, but at least meet them with a bowl game. And neither of these teams were too far off of that when we talk about preseason win totals. Lloyd, thank you for the $10 super chat. If you have a question or comment, I'm going to read that for you. Caleb, thank you for gifting Corn Craze memberships. I appreciate you. Rob, Declan, Smoking Cactus all became members. Shout out to Caleb. So much support on our channel. Even when things are down in the gutter, John, there's still support. So that's what keeps me going here. So I did go to the Michigan game this last week. The reason I wanted to talk about that was because of the fan energy. So I got to Lincoln on Friday, and it was bumping. I mean, people were positive. They were at all the little events going on. I saw Will Compton was having his Bussin' with the Boys meetup on top of Barry's. So I didn't go there for that reason. But when I got there, people who were sitting downstairs told me, oh, you got to go up and see the meetup. So I ended up going up there, and people were excited and talking about the game. And I was taking a lot of pictures. The whole me being a little YouTuber guy now has made me a lot of friends when I go to Nebraska, which is really fun for me because I have a lot of people to talk to, right? So I'm talking to a bunch of people, and for the most part, the energy I was receiving was there's still hope. Even if we beat or lose to Michigan, I still feel good. I'm still checked in. I'm not leaving this game early. And then what happens? Blowout. Everyone leaves early. It doesn't feel like there's any hope. A lot of people have turned it in and said, I'm done. I'm not watching anymore. And so, I don't know. I just felt like people went back on what they originally said. And I think part of that is because they had no fight in them, and it didn't look like a team you'd even want to
Right.
watch. It was just so ugh. So I don't think you can go backwards from that. I think that's the one good thing. You can't get worse than what you saw last week. It can only get better. And if it can get better to at least the level of play they played Northern Illinois at, or even Louisiana Tech, I feel okay about this game, and I feel like they can win it. I just don't think Illinois is all that good. They're another Nebraska, just like Minnesota is
Yeah.
another Nebraska, just like
Yeah.
Purdue is another Nebraska, just like Iowa could become another Nebraska now that we don't know what's going to go on with their quarterback. So it's an interesting situation. Speaking of berries, though, I wanted to bring this up. So I went there, and that first day I was there, the owner, his name's Mark, walked up, introduced himself, said he watches the show. Super cool guy. And Mark was like, hey, if you'd ever like to do a meetup here, we could host it on the top, just like we did for Will and Taylor, and it'd be a cool little deal. And I thought, man, a corn craze meetup at Barry's, a Friday before a big game like Colorado or something, could be awesome. And I was like, do you know what
Yeah.
would be more awesome? John, can you guess what would be more awesome?
If I was there too.
Yeah, John. So I thought, what if it was like I could get Carricker and John and me, and we had like a the main Nebraska YouTubers all posted up to do like a meetup with all of us taking pictures and meeting all of the people who watch us and talk in the comments that we all know but don't really know. I just think that'd be really freaking awesome. So I don't know, maybe one day in the future we can try to work something like that out if you're willing to come back to Lincoln. But I just thought, people ask me all the time, I'd love to see Adam, John, and you in one video and some other Nebraska people that they watch. I thought, that would be a great idea. So how cool would it be if we could do an in-person meetup with all of us? That would just be an absolute
That'd be
hitter.
nice. I'd
It'd be a
I'd
hitter.
enjoy that.
So that was just the thought I had. But outside of that, uh, the game in general was fantastic. I mean, my experience outside of the actual game
Right.
itself, going to the game, the seats, the heat was a little much, but outside of the heat,
Yeah.
it was an enjoyable, nice day outside of sweating in the first half. But second half, it calmed down. I had to go and get some Dippin' Dots actually at halftime because it was so freaking hot. Pounded those things down to feel a little bit better. But I met
Okay.
so many of the Corn
Where,
Craze subscribers who I have, and all of those Corn Craze subscribers were walking up, and they were all sharing pretty positive sentiments about like the community we've built and everything. So it made me feel good to know that I was able to go there and meet people who I talk to online all the time, and that was the best part of the trip. And you said that too, that when you went to the Minnesota game, that you had
yeah.
a really good time talking to everyone, everybody who
Yeah.
watches, and it's a communal thing. And I think that was the number one takeaway. I have to go every year just because I want to be with my friends, be with my people.
Right. I like that. Okay. Now be honest. Did you sit on a bench or did you sit in like club seats?
I sat on a bench on the 50-yard line in the sixth row next to Luke Lindenmeyer's parents, who were nice enough to go out of their way to get me the tickets. So that was awesome. And I sat around all the parents. I talked to a lot of family there at the game, which was really cool because obviously they've, not all of them, but a lot of them have seen the channel. And I do my best not to speak negatively about individual players or, performances. I call some things out when I have to, but I do my best because what if I do run into these people and I got to talk to them? It's a little awkward. It's like, oh, hey, what's up? And then, I was just bashing on this kid 2 days ago. So it wasn't awkward. There was no issue. So it was a good experience. I saw,
I would imagine there are some mothers of offensive linemen that would like me dead.
yeah, I'm sure. There's a lot of people who I'm sure wouldn't be too excited to see you. They'd be like, this guy. I
Yeah.
saw Dylan and Dayton Rayola though. I was walking in the tunnel
Oh, really?
and they were sitting next to me. They're sitting like 5 or 6 rows back. So I talked to them for a minute, and I've met them at the national championship. So that was cool to talk to them again because Dayton has grown. I don't know how many inches. Let's say 7. The kid's legit now, and the rumor is he really, really wants to go to Nebraska. So I know it's a long way off, but it wouldn't hurt to get a quarterback who's probably going to be as good as Dylan a few years from now.
Yeah. Well, It'd be nice to get a quarterback like that next week, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know what the answer is for a quarterback right now, but I do have a little bit of faith in Harburg. I didn't say a lot. I said a little bit because now he's playing on the road in the Big Ten. So there's still some things to be seen and some things to be worked out, but there's hope. James, you gifted 20 Corn Craze memberships. You're the freaking man. We love you. And Caleb,
Wow.
thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you for being a member. He says Rule can still get us to 6-6, or am I just crazy thinking that? Of course you're not crazy thinking that. Nebraska
Yeah.
is playing a bunch of other Nebraskas on the schedule. Who's a Nebraska, John, left on the schedule? Would you say Michigan State's a Nebraska?
Yeah. Yeah.
Michigan State, Purdue is probably a Nebraska.
Yeah.
Illinois is probably a Nebraska.
Yeah.
So that's 3 right there. Then you've got
Northwestern.
Northwestern, definitely a Nebraska. Iowa could borderline be, a Nebraska, or at least
I think they are.
when they
I
come to
they
Nebraska, at least they're going to be.
their second string their second string quarterback didn't look too bad after McNamara went out.
Yeah.
He didn't look terrible, but their offense is still horrible. I think the key is this for Iowa. I mean, they do have the kid Cooper DeJean, I think it is, one of
Yeah.
their safeties cornerbacks who is a real playmaker. He's going to be, he's going to be an incredible NFL player. Nebraska's defense has shown that they can play pretty good football, I think. And what we want to find by the time the Iowa game rolls around. It'd be nice to find this tomorrow night, but who is going to be our star on the defense? Who is going to be the guy that stands out and we suddenly go, oh my God, look, it's a guy that's going to be an NFL player that's going to be amazing.
Is it going to be, let's make a projection. Is it going to be a linebacker or is it going to be a defensive lineman? Because it's got to be one of those two, I think. They've got to be able to get pressure on Altmaier, because I think if they get pressure on him, it's going to change the game. He's going to throw a pick if they do bring pressure. And if they can confuse him a little bit, he's going to stay on trend, because we already know this guy is extremely turnover prone. So although I hope it's a DB who steps up, since we can't let a guy like, what's his name, Isaiah Williams get loose, I really want to see somebody get pressure and force a turnover, because Nebraska just, hasn't forced enough of those this year. And they deserve more, especially since the defense has played really well.
It could be, Cameron Lenhart's going to be back tomorrow night, from what I understand. And, the Nut Masher has played pretty well. It's just that, when you play Michigan's offensive line, it's really hard to get anything done.
Mottzilla said Javen Wright is who his pick would be, which I love that pick. Javen's getting better every week. Javen's had a couple good performances. He's got an interception on the year. He had a really high ceiling when he came. I guess he just wasn't a fit wherever he was playing, at nickel or safety. And now he finally found the right spot. And yeah, he's exploded. And he's exploded at the right time, because you got to have as many linebackers out there when you've got guys like Luke Reimer hurt, right?
Right.
So, yeah. I want to go to schedule.
Can we get to 6-6? Yeah, we can get to
yes.
6-6, but it really has to start tomorrow night.
It has to. I want to go to schedule really quick before we come back to Illinois, because that got released today. Where is my screen share?
What's
the new schedule?
Oh, the schedule?
Yeah. So next year, Nebraska gets UCLA at home, Wisconsin at home, Rutgers, and Illinois. I mean, off top, there's 2 potential wins there. UCLA and Wisconsin are going to be really tough, but I feel good about getting a couple maybe. Then on the road, you got Indiana, Iowa, Purdue, Ohio State, and USC. You got 2 potential there with Indiana and Purdue. So do I feel great about next season, given what we're dealing with right now? I wouldn't say I feel great, but do I feel like they could match whatever they finish with this year? Yes. Would that be a good thing? Probably not. But this is what the new Big Ten is going to be. It's going to be deep. You're going to play a lot of really good teams. And when I first saw this, I was like, wow, we're going to play USC and UCLA in year 1, right? Obviously, one you get at home, but that's a tough one when you've got a scheme for 2 teams who are new to the Big Ten. They're going to bring different components on offense. And yeah, it's just going to look a lot different. So I don't know what your first thought was on it, but I'm excited. That's
my first thought was, this isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I mean, we got to play USC at USC. There's a lot of people out there that are looking at college football and say, this is all ruined, this is wrong, and it's destroyed. And the honest to God truth, I guess, when I look at these schedules, is there's going to be a lot more big games
Hmm.
than we've seen before in the past. I mean, let's be honest. There's been weekends of college football where you look at it and you go, there really aren't any good games,
I
or there
think
might
what
be one.
like week two, I think of the college football season kind of felt like that.
Yeah. And I think now between the SEC and the Big Ten, you're going to be that's that. I mean, this is why the Fox and all those people are spending crap tons of money, is because these we're going to have a lot more big games, and we're going to have to be better. But at the same time, it's going to. I did this live thing today, and somebody said, "Well, who does this benefit?" And you know who this benefits? This benefits Rutgers in Indiana. And it benefits them because they're going to make more money than ever. And Indiana sucks at football. They're probably always going to suck at football. And they're going to have money to fund their basketball program, which is what they really love. Rutgers athletic department needs money, and they're going to have money. Who is this going to hurt? Honestly, this is going to hurt teams like USC and Ohio State and Michigan. Because in the past, they only had to listen, their fans are just as delusional and insane as we are. It's just that we've calmed down a little bit.
Yes, you're right.
Can you imagine next year when Ohio State loses 3 games, how big a conniption fit they're going to have? They're like going to, I don't know, disavow themselves. And that's
What's
really
weird
what's
is
going to happen.
I don't know why they like winning those weak games. I don't even feel good after beating North Dakota State. I don't even want the win. Take it back. It doesn't count. That's not a bowl eligible win that I think should count. If I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm like, yeah, we're the best program in the country. We're dominant. What are you talking about? You played Youngstown State. I would be pissed
Yeah,
off.
that is kind of weird.
So if I'm an Ohio State fan and I want to be the best, or whoever, USC, I don't know what their standards are because USC has a lot of fair weather fans. But when we're talking about these Big Ten original schools, or even Oregon, since they've got a pretty diehard fan base now, they should want this, and I think they do for the most part. I don't think this really hurts anyone. I think it's going to change how things work, obviously, because you're going to
Yeah.
have teams with more losses now. But the NFL, you get teams with not a lot of losses, but you can have a Super Bowl champion lose 5 games or 4 games. So
I don't
it's a more
really,
dominant playoff field
I
is
don't,
what it looks like.
yeah, I don't really pay attention to Major League Baseball, but you have huge markets like the New York Yankees, and then I think you have tiny markets like the Oakland A's, maybe, I don't know. But you have this disparity between the top and the bottom, and I think that's something that really has to be worked out with the nil things, and I think we'll see that come in the next few years where it gets, you saw Utah this week give 85 pickups to their scholarship players. I think that's a little bit nuts, but excuse me, I think that the nil stuff is going to have to be tamped down if we're going to expect any kind of competition that's on an even level.
Yeah, the NIL stuff
Right,
is so
excuse me.
confusing because we still don't even understand NIL, at least from a fan perspective, right? A lot of it's kept under wraps. A lot of people will question it and they'll say, oh, well, Nebraska's not spending enough on NIL because they're not landing guys like Brandon Baker, when in reality, they don't even know how it works and how the coaches are trying to allocate that money. A
Yeah,
quick comment from Caleb. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Caleb. He says Michigan has the toughest schedule in the Big Ten for 2024. Texas, Ohio State, USC, Oregon, Washington. That is gnarly. I guess the good news is USC will be breaking in a new quarterback. Oregon breaking in a new quarterback. Washington breaking in a new quarterback and all their receivers. Ohio State loses a couple receivers. Texas, Ewers should be gone, but they'll probably reload. So it's so tough to tell right now when you look at these schedules, like how good are teams
right.
going to be next year. Can't make any crazy predictions yet. We haven't even watched teams play the whole season this year. But yeah,
Yeah,
it does look tough. I think outside of it looking tough, it looks attractive, like we had said before. It looks like those are all games that you will want to watch,
right.
which makes us happy as football
And
fans
that's
because we want
that's
games
why
to
they
watch.
spent all the money.
Yeah. So
So
I love it. Okay. I have another super chat here. Husker Nation, thank you for the $10 super chat. Thank you for being a member. UCLA versus Nebraska, renewed rivalry. Your place must be haunted as well, Connor, because I saw a ghost move behind you. GBR, yep. Ghost is moving behind me. I don't know. Is UCLA Nebraska a rivalry to some degree?
well,
A
well,
Pac
here's
12
the thing.
rival? A Pac 12
When
rival.
when I think of UCLA Nebraska, I think of the 1983 game. And the honest to God truth is, I was in college then, and
The
no,
1983
wait,
game.
it's not
Wait,
the 90.
Was
It's
that
1990. It's not 1983. It was Tommy Fraser went out there and we beat them like 14-13. It was an incredible game. I think Terry Donahue was the coach, but we had some really exceptional games with UCLA over the years. Let's see, 1989. I think Troy Aikman was the quarterback, and they scored like 28 points in the first quarter, and it was like an absolute freaking disaster. And everybody, from Nebraska at that time didn't give up those points like that, and everybody just, well, they all shit themselves.
yeah.
We all went insane. And there has been some really good games with UCLA over the years. I mean,
Those are
I have a lot more over the years than you do.
Yeah, no, those are a bit older. I think in recency terms, we're talking about USC. USC played
Yeah.
Nebraska a few times. Tough. They beat Nebraska a few times, right? 2007, I think they were number one in the country. Came in for that big college game day matchup. Obviously,
Yep.
SC handled business. Then you had 2014 Holiday Bowl. That was a massive game. Was Bo Pelini the coach that game, or had he gotten fired? I think Mike Riley was on the sideline, so I think he was probably gone at that point. And Nebraska lost it by 3 in a shootout. Amir Abdullah played, so I think he was gone. Anyway, there've been some good ones. 2006 USC. I'll tell you what, going to a home game at USC is special for me because I grew up at
Oh,
USC,
yeah.
right? I've grown up on that just like a normal Nebraska or any Nebraska fan has grown up on going to Nebraska. So when I get to go there and I see all the people I see all the time, and when I get to root for my team and when I get to focus on Nebraska football, it makes it so much more of a fun experience. So I love the schedule next year because I'll get to go to that game. And the last time I got to go to that game was
Right.
2006 when USC visited. And back then I was only 13 years old, so it'll be just a totally different situation. So yeah, I enjoy it. I,
We
I like watching all these games. I'm excited for it.
we've had some good games against Washington too. I mean,
You
we
know,
do, playing there is because of the overhang of their stadiums, one of the loudest places in the nation to play. And those games, we lost some games there. I remember a game we lost, I think it was 29-14, where the officials just lost complete control of the game because it was so loud that it was, the stadium is shaking and stuff. And I don't know, they got some calls they shouldn't have. See, I could get pissed off all over again about these teams.
you're always pissed off, so it makes sense. I've got a question, John. So what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't watch your game reaction to Michigan. I was busy because
Okay.
I was there, obviously.
Right.
So what? Where was your game reaction? I'm assuming it wasn't in the bathroom.
No,
Was it under a tree?
I mean, I just did it on my back patio.
Okay. And what was
It
the
was
what was the vibe at the time? What was your immediate? Because that's like your gut reaction. So what was your immediate reaction to the game at the
Well,
time?
my immediate reaction to the game was, well, they stomped the shit out of us. My biggest problem, I think, with the game was this: we really looked flat, and we looked like
Lacked
we
passion.
looked like we expected to be run over,
So where will
and
you
we were
be?
run over.
Where will you be this weekend? Say Nebraska loses this game by 7. Where will you be at the end of it?
Oh, I think there's what happens with the reactions. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't know how I'm going to feel when I go into a game. And then I don't know what I'm going to do after it. That's why they're literally instant reactions. I don't really plan these things a lot.
Yep.
They just hit me, and I might be like overexcited or be really pissed off, which is where the tree in the bathroom started. So, you know, I've
So
thought about different places, and we'll just see what happens. But I really honestly don't plan them ahead of time.
so when you're thinking about this week, I guess my real
Uh-huh.
question is my broader question. What's the expectation for you? Because my expectation is Nebraska comes out and wins this. If they lose by 7 or less, I'll still feel okay. I won't be mad, right? I won't be pissed off unless they lose in a disgusting fashion. But I still have, I still have hope even if this one goes left. That's kind of my point. And where do you sit? Are you done? Is this where you check out? Because I know most people, if this goes left, they're checking out. This is kind of the end of the line. Throw
Right.
the towel in. 2-4 going into bye, and it is what it is. I'll wait until next year.
I still have a website to run. I still have a YouTube channel. That's not why I do this. My real life is making a living in IT. I do this because what's that line that women will use this on you sometimes? If you don't like me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. Isn't that the line
It is.
young people use?
It's a good line.
Well, this it's tough, and I guess I'm still going to be here because I'm still going to love Nebraska. And it's not just football for me. I've watched men's basketball for years because I'm a masochist, and most of the other sports. So I'll still be there. And part of that is a survivor. Being the heart attack survivor and living with the TBI and living through that is you get up and you do stuff every single day. You work on, your life is going to be good, and how is it going to get better? Just because I'm 61 and old freaking man beat up doesn't mean there isn't a lot of stuff I want to still yet to accomplish. So, I will try to make the best of the season and make it fun because it's still something I love. Even if we're
That's
going
the
to go
way I
through
look at it.
tough times, I'm still going to love it.
That's the way I look at it because there's always something to watch and something to improve on, and there's little nuances that I can appreciate. It's a lot of it's about the growth and watching how this coaching staff can grow over the course of a
Yeah.
season and watching how they can bring some of those younger players along. And if there's enough growth, it'll all compound into more success down the line. So I can't check out, even though, you know, it hurts so bad sometimes to watch it.
Yeah.
What was that one season? Was it 2017? The year that Mike Riley had Tanner Lee. Okay, I think it was 2017. Do you remember how terrible that year was? You lost to like Northern Illinois. Then
Yeah.
they got beat up by Ohio State. I think they kept it decently close with Penn State and maybe backdoored a few touchdowns. But in general, that season was one of the worst seasons to watch, you know? But I still
Yeah.
was watching and hanging on every detail. I don't know. It's just, it's something in me. So some people just don't have that, which I don't judge them or hold anything against them. I mean, whatever. I wouldn't want to watch a shitty team all the time too, but there's just something in me that forces me to do it. Caleb, thank you for the $5 super chat. He said, I feel the wheels on the bus for Illinois is falling off, maybe. Nebraska comes away with a win by 8, 35-27. See, I feel the same, Caleb, but the wheels at Nebraska are in dire straits. It feels like we're running on two flats. So I don't know. I get the sentiment that Illinois isn't good, but I also see people say you have to remember Nebraska's not good either, and it's so hard to pick. I was a little surprised to see Illinois favored in this game. I will be honest with that. I know home field advantage, you automatically get 3 points or have to give three
Right.
points, but still, Nebraska feels like they've had a better defense. Illinois has a lot more turnovers. Nebraska's tightened up a lot. Then I go back to thinking, what's the reality? They've played one Big Ten team with Heinrich Harburg, and what happened in that game? So
Right.
there's a lot of question marks, I think, is the main
I
point.
I think the thing is people just we don't have an offense, and it's going to be very hard to come up with points. So if I was, I guess Vegas always knows stuff. You know what I mean? They know how to put the lines out so they don't lose money and don't lose their shorts and stuff. So, they're pretty much looking at this game and going, "Well, this is a wash," and then here's your 3 points for being at home.
So,
So,
wait, I'm reading through chat really quick. Hang on. Sorry, I want to get caught up. I had one that was good and I wanted to push back. So, Roger says our kicker wins this game. My biggest fear, my biggest stress is that Tristan Alvano isn't ready. And I'm not sure that Matt Rule will pull the cord on him and try somebody else out right now, like Timmy Bleekrod. If they continue to use Alvano, my fear
mhm.
is that Nebraska is going to lose some of these closer games because they need to get their field goals. Nebraska isn't a team who's going to score a lot. So I have said I think it's time for Bleekrod. What do you think it's time to do?
I, I, the first, okay,
Really quick, just
people
so
don't,
we're all on the same page, Alvano is 1 of 5 this year kicking
yeah.
field goals.
Well, we actually had a last night. We have a young guy that shows up at our shows that actually is a kicker for I think one of the Omaha teams, And he said, Tristan Alvano has good technique and it's all in his head. And I think you just have to work through those things. People don't like it when you say stuff like this. And what I'm going to say is that the first year of a coach doesn't really matter that much. The first year of a coach should be building for the future. We're going to go into next year, and all of college football as we know it will be changed forever, and a much tougher situation than quite frankly, than Tom Osborne ever faced in his 25 years. I would prefer that if he sticks with Alvano, it's because he wants to he wants to straighten out the guy's head, get him confident, and we're gonna see, just what happens. We always blame, for God's sakes,
Yeah,
and it's
no, I get it. It's
it's
just
always
that's
going to be that guy that missed that touchdown pass, or Harburg overthrows Thomas Fedoni before we had to kick the field goal, something like that. So
yeah, no, I get it. As a kicker, I know
I know
everything's
we want to
mental.
win games. We
No,
want to
no, no,
win
no, no, no,
games.
no, no. I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you 100%. 100% on the first year coach deal. You can't judge the guy for
Yeah.
their first year. So I'm on the same page. But when we're talking about a kicker, a position that in my opinion is like 90% mental when you're at this level, because they all have the legs, not all of them, but most of them have the leg strength, and they've been accurate in the past and they've shown they can do it, right? So it's mental when you get in there. Do you have to let the brain chill out at one point? Think of the pressure, think of the stress being a field goal kicker, knowing you can't make the kick. I mean, not maybe I will. I'm 20%. I'm not making this kick. They know
Yeah.
that. So you've got at some point give the dude a break. I feel bad for kickers who they don't let like take a little break and take some time off. Just like I would have felt bad if Jeff Sims would have had to go back out there and face Nebraska's fans after what was it, like 8 turnovers, you know? At some
Yeah.
point, you got to let them take a breath. I think Jeff Sims, although his situation wasn't a situation where he got pulled, I think it will do him wonders by the time he gets back, because he had a chance to regroup. He had a chance to focus on the little details. He had a chance to not stress out, not be the face of this whole operation that, man, we all get crazy about.
Right.
So I think
You
there's
sound
something
like a guy who didn't walk uphill both ways to school in knee deep or waist deep snow, fighting mountain lions.
confirmed. Confirmed. I didn't walk uphill for school. I walked on level surface.
Yeah.
Brad says, as an Illini fan, I always see that and want to say Illini fan. Okay. As an Illini fan, our lines are terrible. Nebraska will run all over Illinois, 32-13 Nebraska. And Brad, thanks for the comment. Thanks for being an Illinois fan in a Nebraska chat room. Obviously, it's bold for most fan bases. This is my thought. Nebraska fans and Illinois fans all feel the same way. We're all broken.
Yeah.
Our hearts are all hurting, and none of us believe anymore. And we're all like, what the hell is going on? The only difference is Illinois is much closer to relevancy since they've had more recent success. And they've probably, I don't want to say they've got more NFL players in their team right now, but they've probably got more Big Ten ready players in their team right now. And they just need to figure out how to regroup, because last year they did bring in a better recruiting class and they did have that success. So, Brad, I hear you. I don't know that that's true. If Nebraska won this game by 19 points, there isn't a soul in this entire what do you call this, chat box that wouldn't be surprised. We'd all be shocked. So
I
I don't know.
think, if you look at this, I mean, I think it was frustrating for me that so far this season that Emmett Johnson hasn't seen the field more. Joshua Fleeks, I mean, he got one carry, he blew that up and made the most of it. And I guess it's, if he's going to be a guy who can add something to the offense, then, maybe we can run on him. There was an article this week. I think Sam McCune wrote something about Nebraska has no offensive identity. That's not true.
Sam McEwen said Nebraska doesn't have an offensive
I think
identity.
so, if I remember the article. Our offensive identity is obviously going to be power running.
Yeah,
It's going to be
we
power,
know what the identity is this year. The identity
yeah.
is to run it with the quarterback and run it with the running back, and that's it.
Yeah, but we don't necessarily do those things well. It'd be nice to do that well against the Illini.
I
And
agree.
if Brad there thinks their lines are terrible, good. We'll run right all the afternoon or all night. That's what it is. We'll just run to the right side because our left side of our line is, well, they need help.
Julie, thank you for becoming a member. And Caleb, thank you for the $20 super chat. Nebraska will be up 21 to 10. This is very, very specific. Caleb, are you looking into a crystal ball? Or are you just making random predictions here? Nebraska will be up 21 to 10 with 5 minutes left, and Illinois will score a TD and a 2-point conversion. Illinois will have the ball back and threatening with 2 minutes left, but NU holds on 21 to 18 as the culture shift begins to take. Man, that was a roller coaster. I thought this was going to be one of your followers since that's kind of the way you think. Wow, Caleb, I love the optimism on the back end, and don't know if it's going to go down like that, but if it did, it instills some confidence in this fan base. We get really excited, and we feel like the team finally learned how to win.
I would like it to be, 5 minutes left. I would like the game to be put away by Nebraska. Nobody left in the stands except people wearing red and weeping. The cameras show weeping Illinois fans leaving the stadium.
I mean, will there be enough Illinois fans to show images of them leaving? Because if you don't have enough of them there, it's going to look funny seeing two guys walk out. It'll probably just look like they're going to the bathroom. I wonder what the split will be. Do you think Nebraska's... I mean, how many Nebraska... Okay, if Nebraska wanted to, they could take over 50% of the stadium. But I'm guessing they don't want to. So how many Nebraska fans do you think make the trip? Is the stadium 20% red, 30%, 40%? What's your prediction now?
Don't know. My God.
Like, are people over
I'd
it?
say about 8. What's that?
Are people over it? Are they done? Are they like, I'm not driving to Illinois, or I'm not driving from Chicago or wherever they live. I don't want to watch this weak performance.
I don't mean to be rude to the Illini, but I don't know if Champaign, Illinois is a destination.
I don't.
You know what I mean? It's not a place that they go, I want to see Illinois Stadium before I die. It's not that kind of place. I'd say 8,000 Nebraska fans, which would be a damn good showing.
Yeah, no, for sure, especially for a team who, is what it is. Bill says, Is our OC any good? Have you seen it? So I have talked about Marcus Satterfield a little bit and gave my take. John, what is your thought on Marcus Satterfield? We're 5 games in. We kind of knew what he was when he came in. Has he met expectations? Has he failed to live up to them? Where do you see him right now?
I think he's failed to live up to them, but it's hard to have an offense and score a lot of points when you don't have playmakers and you don't have an offensive line, you don't have a quarterback. You lose 2 of your top 3 running backs in the first 2 weeks of the season or whatever it was. You lost Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. We've all forgot about that. Xavier Betts quit before the season started. I think those 2 guys could have added a lot to the receiver room. We've gotten a lot of comments on YouTube from South Carolina fans that come in and say they hated him. Well, everybody hates their offensive coordinators because everybody could have made a better play call after the call was made.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you've noticed this, but I don't think South Carolina's offense is doing much better this season without him. I think he knows what he wants to do. But again, it's kind of, okay, let me compare it to my favorite friend and bus buddy, Brian Ferentz. Before this season, I would have looked at you and said, Brian's had a hard time because he hadn't had any quarterbacks. For God's sakes, last year he had Spencer Petras, and his backup to that guy wasn't very good. Well, this year he had Caden McNamara, and Caden McNamara, I think, is a pretty decent quarterback. And he still couldn't do anything with his freaking offense. That's an offensive coordinator that probably shouldn't have his job, to be honest with you.
I agree.
Is Marcus Satterfield that guy? We're still yet to find that out. I do like what he does with the line plays, the pulling, and the counter plays that he runs and stuff like that. It's just a matter of really having the guys that can be really successful at running that offense.
Yeah, I heard.
And we are always forgetting one guy in this entire thing, and that is Thomas Fidone. And I think that guy, he's been involved in the offense some. We don't throw the ball a lot. His blocking has gotten better every week of the season. It'd be nice for him to, Matt Rule said something about we have guys that could wreck a game.
That's an example.
What I'd like to see at Illinois is Thomas Fidone wreck a game.
Thomas Fidone, multiple touchdowns. Thomas Fidone,
Yeah.
75 plus
Yeah.
yards. Thomas Fidone out there
Yeah.
leading the way as a receiver because he is Nebraska's best receiver, I think. I mean, Billy Kemp's good. I like Billy, but Thomas
Yeah.
Fidone brings a different aspect. He's bigger. He catches it really well. He's had a few freakish catches, on the
Yeah.
sideline. He's had them when he's covered. He's fast. I mean, overall, I think he's Nebraska's best weapon in the passing game.
Yeah.
So, who else do you think he was talking about? Talking about wreck a game. He said that in the beginning of the season, at least, he said Bryce Benhart he thought was an NFL player, and then Bryce Benhart kind of he was okay against Michigan. I mean, none of the line was good, but was Bryce Benhart an example of somebody he thought should wreck the game?
Oh, if you have, unless you're Dave Remington, I don't think an offensive lineman comes to mind. But I think that a guy like a nut masher. Now I say the guy's name, the polar bear. I think that guy could clog up the front of their line so much that they have difficulty running a ball. And there you go. Somebody like a Malcolm Hartzog with interceptions or something like that. Uh, I don't think we've seen a linebacker really just, blow people up and destroy things yet. And that'd be nice to see.
Yeah, we just see like
Was
consistent linebacker play, but nothing dominant. We haven't seen any big
Yeah.
plays out of Luke Reimer yet. It's just been good play.
I mean, they are playing like 29 guys or 25 guys a game on defense. So you really don't have, I'm out here for 100 snaps. Who was the guy? Come on, Omar Brown, I think, has played one full game. And I think everybody else is sharing snaps so they can build depth for next season, which is a really good idea. But I guess for right now, I'm thinking Anthony Grant, maybe if this guy Brad is right, that we can run all over him. Maybe Anthony Grant runs for 200 yards and 2 touchdowns and 3 touchdowns. How about that?
Yeah, the problem
We're getting all this juiced up stuff going.
The problem for Anthony Grant is it's not just Anthony Grant. Other people have to pave the way. So I feel bad for a running back if you're at Nebraska. It's like, man, you could have all the talent in the world. A.J. Allen is a great example. Been pretty successful at Miami. If he was at Nebraska, would he have the same success? I don't know.
Well, who do they have? They have one guy on their defensive line we have to be aware of.
I don't remember his name. I think he's a defensive end.
Yeah. And that guy, you're going to have to either read him or option him. You're not really going to, you know what I mean? You're going to have to run plays where you get leverage against him, or you're going to have to option or read him out of the play in order for, Nebraska to have success and know where he is on the field when you're doing it. So that's probably a key there for their defensive line.
I think outside of that, I think it's really just their front seven that you have to worry about. Their DBs aren't that good. The problem is Nebraska's only concern is the front seven because they're not going to throw it over the top with those DBs.
Yeah.
It's tough. Okay, John, I've got to go over to split screen with you. Or no, screen share, sorry. Talk about the games this week. I want to know who you like. I know you're definitely going to be watching, I would hope, you're going to be watching a couple of these this weekend because we don't have a Saturday game for Nebraska. We've got a Friday night game, which frees up your time to watch some bigger ones that you normally might not get to. So Oklahoma plays Texas in the Red River rivalry. You think Texas is going to
What?
You think Texas is going to roll on and continue their dominant streak? And I mean, if they win this game, I feel like they're going to the playoff. There's nothing really out there to stop them. So
oh my God, you're right.
Is Texas going to seal the deal potentially with a win over Oklahoma this week? Or do you think Oklahoma somehow pulls it off?
My heart would pick Oklahoma, immediately, but Texas has got a pretty good team.
Texas is back.
Bastards. Yeah. I didn't say that. You said that.
I'm just asking. I'm asking if Texas is back. I want Oklahoma.
They have to make the playoffs to be back.
If they win this
they're going to screw up something. They will lose to like Kansas State or somebody will beat them.
They could.
Because the Big 12 officials will go, you're not leaving that easy, you sons of bitches. And then they'll call 15 penalties against them and 0 against like Kansas State.
Knock them out on their last chance. How about LSU, Missouri? Missouri is a top 25 team. Missouri was one of the worst teams in the SEC, if you don't remember, just a couple years back. And now
Yes.
Missouri has built back faster than Nebraska
Yeah.
did. In the
Yeah.
SEC,
Yeah.
they're a 4-point underdog at home to LSU. And LSU was a potential playoff contender this year at one point before
Yeah.
they lost a couple of games. Are you surprised to see that point spread being
Yes.
so close?
Uh, who'd LSU lose to last week? Was it
Ole
Texas
Miss.
A&M?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss. I was shocked by that. I thought LSU would be better than that. So I'd probably go with Missouri here just because, I don't know, maybe God's on their side or something.
He is on their side. If you watch the Kansas State Missouri game, the kicker hit a 61 or 62 yarder to win
Right.
it. So yes, God is fully on their side. I don't know if he'll be on their side against LSU. It's still Missouri. That's the problem. Like I just don't have any faith that Missouri's going to break into the top
Right.
15 this year. It doesn't make sense to me. Let's see. Rutgers plays Wisconsin. Rutgers is 4-1. Okay, this is one I went back and forth on. I thought, obviously would be massive for the Big Ten West if Rutgers could win this game. Probably not going to happen, but there's a
Right.
chance. They're only 13-point underdogs. Wisconsin's up and down. This is actually a pivotal game for the West, so I can't watch it because
Right.
it's on stupid Peacock. Do you have Peacock on your TV?
It is?
Yeah.
No, I don't have Peacock.
There have been like 3 or 4 games I've wanted to watch, and it says you don't have Peacock. I'm like, who
Right.
has Peacock? Could you imagine the uproar if Nebraska was playing on Peacock one night?
Some of our basketball games will be on Peacock.
That's fine. There's a lot of basketball games, but there's only 12 football games.
Right.
If we missed a game because of Peacock, I'd be very frustrated. Obviously, I'd be buying
That's where you
Peacock,
do
but-
your 7-day trial or whatever the hell it is.
Right. Washington State is at UCLA. Washington State 4-0. They're making a run. And, I'm rooting for 2 teams this year. A little bit harder in the Pac-12 than I'm rooting for anybody else. Washington State and Oregon State, since they got neglected, left out, and disrespected.
Right.
And now they're both on runs. They're both trying to show that they are dominant forces who deserved more. And those fans at those schools deserved more. So I'm rooting for them. I don't know if they can beat UCLA. UCLA's got a good defense, but number 13 in the country, potentially breaking into the top 10 with a win this week, Washington State.
Yeah,
On a
I'd pick 'em.
tear. Okay, Alabama's a 1-point favorite at Texas A&M. Alabama's a tricky one, but so is Texas A&M. Do you believe in Texas A&M?
I have a hard time with them. On the other hand, Bobby Petrino is a really good offensive coordinator. He
He's
should never be
figured
a
it
head
out.
coach again.
Why don't you
But
think he
he
should
sh-
be a head
you know,
coach?
Because he's already done that a number of times, and everybody has figured out his shtick where he just has good offense and he doesn't bother with defense at all, and then he rides a motorcycle and wrecks it, and that whole thing.
Yeah, he has girlfriends.
But Texas A&M, I guess, Alabama's all about people complaining about their offense and their quarterback play.
Mhm.
Where's this game at? It's a College Station. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I'd have to pick Texas A&M to win
Upset.
that because, yeah, is it an upset?
It would be an upset because Alabama is the favorite. And Alabama's ranked 11th in the country. Texas A&M isn't ranked.
Right.
So, yeah, I think I've got to watch that one because if Texas A&M beats Bama, man, Bama, a 2-loss team. I don't remember the last time we saw that this early in the season. Okay, Purdue, Iowa, 2.5 points.
Who's favored?
Iowa on Peacock.
Iowa?
On Peacock. So
Is
you
that
won't
on
get to-
Peacock
Yeah, you're
too?
not going to be watching.
my
You can go
God.
watch the highlights on YouTube afterwards.
I think this is a huge game.
Massive.
Honestly, this is a really huge game. It's a really huge game because Purdue, who'd they beat last week? 44-19.
Illinois.
Yeah. So I think what you're seeing is, what I said earlier in the season, whoever wins the Big Ten West is the team that figures out who they are the quicker in the season. And I think if Purdue can score a bunch of points against an Iowa defense that doesn't, put it this way, Purdue only has to score 17 points maybe, and they're probably going to win the game unless they throw some pick sixes.
I don't know.
And I think they have
Weren't you the
who's
one
their
who just-
quarterback? Hudson Card?
Hudson Card, who's actually good. I like Hudson Card. Wait,
Yeah.
weren't you the one who just said Iowa's quarterback's pretty decent? Their backup?
I thought he looked. I mean, for an Iowa quarterback,
Okay, okay, that's
I
different.
was comparing him to like Spencer Petras, and you know what I mean. He looked.
Relative.
He looked not terrible.
Okay.
He's like 6'2", 260 pounds. But he did throw the ball two guys and they caught it, which is different for Iowa.
It's a
I
win.
do think Purdue has the best, Hudson Card. I think he's probably the best quarterback in the Big Ten West. And I think if Purdue can figure out their offense and figure out how to score, then, they're going to be difficult. They're not going to be the pushover everybody thought they were.
I'm thinking about that
It's
comment.
at Iowa's.
You said
What?
you said Purdue's QB, Hudson Card, is probably the best QB in
Yeah.
the Big Ten West. So really quick, I just want
Don't
to
you think?
pause right there and think about that. Okay, you have Ethan
Yeah.
Kaliak Manis. You have
Yep.
Hudson Card, Ben Bryant at
Yep.
Northwestern, Tanner Mordecai, no one at Nebraska, no one at Iowa. So yeah, I'd probably agree with you. Wow, I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. Purdue really
Yeah.
does have the best QB in the West. And when you have a good QB, you can win pretty much any game.
Yeah.
So that makes them a lot more of a threat. So if they do win this week, that could put them in a very good position going forward.
Now, I think they're, what is that? Oh, come on. The Crazy Legs kid, Mockabee, I think, is having problems holding on to the ball. But, and again, Iowa's defense is always very good. So I
Well,
think this is a really huge game in the West. If Iowa could lose this game, then it could be even more of a jumbled, dysfunctional, schizophrenic, bipolar mess than it already is. And I'm for that.
yeah, that's what I want. I want it to
Because if
be
my
as
team's not
messy.
going to be really good, I want chaos.
I want everyone to suck and for it to be an issue.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I, I agree with that. Okay. What other? Oh, okay. Here's a good one. Colorado is playing at Arizona State. All right. Arizona State has only won a single game this year. It was against like
Right.
Southern Illinois or something, somebody bad. Colorado is only a 4-point favorite.
Right.
Do you think Colorado is going to win this game, or do you think they could go for their third loss in a row?
I think they'll probably win because they have they have some dynamic players, and Arizona State they kind of have a football team.
Yeah, I agree with that. But
You know what I mean?
that
Hi,
line
here's a
sketches me
football
out.
team.
That
It's
line makes me think Vegas knows something that we don't. Because I would have thought
yeah,
Colorado had been favored by like 8 points. They're that much
yeah,
better,
or
you know?
12.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot more. So that's an interesting one. Another one that will be interesting to watch. Michigan is going to be at Minnesota. It'll be a night game. Michigan's a an
yeah.
18 and a half point favorite, which is the same number that they were over Nebraska. Do you think Michigan made a point last week in Lincoln to dominate them?
Yeah.
You do.
Yes.
Okay, so do you think that they're going to have the
I
same
don't I
type
don't
of
think they I
performance?
don't think they went out and said, "Let's make a point." I think they just looked at this game and said, "We're not screwing around with this. We're just going to go out and play what we're going to play."
Hmm.
And they did. And they played against the team that really didn't put up much much in the way of resistance. And I think, honestly, I think that same thing will happen at Minnesota. Minnesota just seems, their offense isn't as crisp, and it's not as eighth and K. Cali Manis hasn't played as well as I thought he would this year. And Minnesota's defense is just not, they're missing a playmaker. Tyler Nubin's there, but they just don't have it either.
Yeah, they're
We
lacking
shouldn't have
some.
lost that game to them, but we did, so there you
So
go.
so
That sucks.
would it make you feel better if Michigan just destroyed Minnesota, or would it make you feel worse like Nebraska played Minnesota and they sucked terribly and Nebraska lost to them?
I don't really put a lot of faith in those kinds of comparisons because I think number one, teams are at different places throughout the season. Number two, players get injured. Number three,
Every matchup's
uh,
different, so it's hard to.
yeah, it is. And to be honest with you, I have Minnesota fans that live with me, so I think they're pretty. Everybody's pretty much like, yeah, they're gonna. It's gonna be a matter of they beat us worse than they beat Nebraska. Did Michigan beat Minnesota worse than Nebraska? Beyond that, I think, like I said earlier, Michigan is probably going to be a national title winner. I
Yeah, no,
I
they
don't
very
see
well
anybody
could be.
that's
I don't think Georgia's as good as Michigan is this year. Internet's pausing, it looks like. I have to wait for John to come back. There he is.
yeah. I'm going to have to call my cable provider because this is not good.
Yeah, they need to stop making it choppy. You're in prime football season and everyone wants to hear you talk.
Yeah,
Okay. Did you watch Notre Dame play at Duke last week?
I watched a little bit of it.
So,
I thought it was,
did you watch the
I
ending?
thought that no.
Okay, let me tell you about the ending really quick. It was beautiful. Sam Hartman on 4th and 16 has no options. He rolls out to the right, scans the field, doesn't want to force anything, and he doesn't have anybody open anyway. Takes off and runs, converts. The very next play, Notre Dame runs the ball right up the middle on an inside handoff, and they score a touchdown to win the game. This week, they're playing Louisville. Jeff Brom is Louisville's coach. And Jeff Brom, in his first year at Louisville, after he went and took, like, I can't remember the exact number, but say 35 transfers and added them to his team, kind of like a Colorado situation, he's got them ranked in the top 25, 5-0, playing at home at night against Notre Dame. Do you have any faith that Louisville could potentially upset Notre Dame, or do you think Notre Dame's one of those top 5, 10 teams this season?
I think they could do it. I mean, it's here's the thing. When you go out and you play Ohio State and you miss 10 guys, you have 10 guys on your defense for the
Jeez.
last two plays of the game. That's kind of a really big deal. That's
Huge.
a huge game. Nobody even recognized it apparently, and nobody called timeout. Nobody apparently, if even if you're a defensive player, you'd think you would do something. Like all you'd have to do is reach out and touch an offensive player, and they'd have to play the play dead, and you'd be able to get your coach and go, "What the hell are you doing?" So I don't. I think Notre Dame. Who was it? Marcus Freeman. I think he's done better there than I expected him to, but I could see Louisville upsetting them.
Well,
I think Jeff Brom's a really good coach.
I'm actually rooting for Notre Dame this year. I feel like every year they suck, and now that they finally have a quarterback, I just want it for them. Like it just
Right.
seems fitting, and I do like their head coach, but the 10 players on the field against Ohio State did feel like a Nebraska mistake. So, yeah, they could lose any of these games. Those are really the only ones. I mean, everything else is pretty standard. I'm gonna try to watch it. Wait, wait, wait,
You
John.
skipped right over
There we
Northwestern
go.
Howard.
You know what's crazy? I don't even see Northwestern Howard. It doesn't even register in my brain. Let's see. I'm scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. There it is. Doesn't even register in my
Yeah.
brain as an option. What's crazy is Howard could beat Northwestern.
Yeah, they could.
Northwestern could also beat Nebraska and beat Iowa. So this
Yeah.
is just so, the whole thing is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Man. All right, John. Well, I appreciate you for coming on. We've been live now for like, I don't know, an hour or something. So I'll let you get to bed. I know it's later over there than it is for me.
It's not time yet. There's still like NFL. The Bears are playing.
Oh, do you watch that?
Well, I watch the NFL. I probably watched since the pandemic. I probably watched more NFL than I ever have, and that's probably because my kids got more involved in the NFL because they kind of looked at it and go, "We're not going to be Nebraska fans, Dad. Screw you."
Makes sense.
They said harsher terms than that, but it's not my
Nah,
show.
I
So
I get the point. I get the point. But you could say how whatever you want. This is an uncensored show.
yeah,
Anyway, so
but
the Bears are terrible, so I won't be turning that game on.
right.
You like the Vikings. Are you a Vikings fan?
I've been a Packers fan my whole life.
But you're close
But
to
I
the
pay
Vikings.
attention to
So
the NFC North. So, I do pay, Detroit, Minnesota, the Bears and Green Bay.
I
Most everybody else I don't really pay that much attention to.
I watched that show, The Quarterback on Netflix. Did you see it?
Yeah, I
Kirk
watched part of
Cousins.
it.
Kirk Cousins is so I don't know. He's like a gawky, goofy, dorky quarterback, and he's so cool. The
Yeah,
dude's so rich. I
yeah,
mean, seeing how he acts is just so middle America, Michigan type of guy, just average dude. And he's obviously not that. He's one of the faces of the NFL. So I root for him
yeah,
now. And they play the
yeah.
Chiefs this week at
Oh, they
home.
do.
Yes. So I'm very excited to watch that. I don't watch much NFL, I'll be honest, because I'm just so caught up in college. It's hard to invest this much time in football in
Yeah.
general. So I'm going to watch that one because I really want to see Kirk beat Mahomes.
I thought you'd be watching that for the Taylor Swift stuff.
I haven't been paying attention to the Taylor Swift stuff. They love to talk about it and they love to hype it up. I mean I get why. We're all so thirsty for clicks. I'm not. I just put out
Yeah.
content I want to put out. But ESPN and everybody else, they are thirsty for them. So whatever. I don't
Yeah,
pay attention.
it's kind of it's I here's the thing. We're seeing the same kind of stuff I think happen in college football, the Deion Sanders thing where it blew up and that just blew up the media stuff and uh I think the personalities, they want the personalities. Pat McAfee on ESPN College Game Day went after Washington State and a lot of people are upset with that. That was probably the move because I don't think casual college football fans are going to turn on ESPN College Game Day just to watch it. I think that was a show that built itself over the years with Lee Corso being funny, and now they bring in McAfee. And I got to ask you this because you're a younger guy. I saw an article the other day where they number one, they gave Pat McAfee an $85 million contract.
Crazy.
What what the hell? Was
It's
somebody offering him 80 million and they had to beat him?
I think the problem is if they don't offer it to him, he'll go and start his own thing and be a direct competitor. People will watch him on his platforms as opposed to watching him on those platforms. The advertising dollars that Nebraska and the Big Ten are getting, I mean, we know what they are. You hear about them all the time. Those same type of advertising dollars are going to go into YouTube, and they are going into YouTube. So if you have a
Right.
big enough channel or a big enough brand, they can make that crazy money, and ultimately it pulls away from an ESPN or NBC or Fox or whoever. So no, I totally understand why they have to give him that money, and I think it's well deserved. He draws more attention than anybody else. I didn't watch before McAfee. I didn't watch many podcasts or sports shows that weren't on ESPN. He opened my eyes to the YouTube and to the podcast sports worlds.
Really?
Yeah, he did. He's so
Okay. The
charismatic and cool. He's worth it.
the specific question I want to ask you this is I saw in this article, I read this article and it says, ESPN thinks that, well, this is my words, not theirs, that younger people want to watch loudmouth assholes.
Loudmouth assholes.
Yeah. I mean, come on, Pat McAfee.
It's
Is that
true.
true? Do younger people want,
He-
if that's the case, why isn't anybody offered me? I'm a loudmouth,
well, that's the reason you're growing, John. You have seven. What do you have? 7,500 subscribers? How many?
yeah.
Okay, you got 7,500 people who like you enough, even with your crude humor, even after you've been picking on their favorite team and, going a
Oh,
little
that's
bit hard
true.
on the kids. You've still got 7,500 people who want to watch you. So I think you hit it on the head, and that's the reason you're growing so much. But yes, I do think that the louder, the guys with the big voices who make the obnoxious takes. What's the one dude's name? Stephen A. Smith. Great example.
Oh,
He
yeah.
he paved the way. Who else? Colin Cowherd. You have these guys who have these big personalities and make these crazy bold statements. It pisses people off. It's divisive. It gets people talking. It's shareable. You want more of that because just like I said, it's shareable content. It's clippable content. You can repurpose it. The one thing I'm doing wrong on my channel is I'm too regular. I'm too basic. I come on and all I do is talk about Nebraska in the most standard and simple way. I break down the facts. I give some optimism.
Wait a minute. You're up to like 19,000.
No, I mean,
You're doing well.
look. I'm doing a good job for what I am, right?
Yeah.
But if I wanted to blow up, I would be an asshole. I would be loud. I would be obnoxious. I would make half of the world hate me, half of the world love me. Now, it's not in me to do that, especially around something like Nebraska that I'm so passionate about and love so much. It's just, I'm not going to be one of those clickbaity people. But if I wanted to, I would have 50,000 subs, but I would be loved and I would be hated. I wouldn't be as easy to sell to brands either because I'm divisive and I create a lot of controversy. But I'd probably make more because my content would be circulating everywhere. My dollars from YouTube would be up, and more people would know who I am. So it's tough.
So what you're
Yeah,
saying is I should do more of my reaction videos shirtless.
yeah. So what I'm saying is I need to be more like you, and I know I need to be more like you. Seriously, if I was more like you, I think I would have a lot more subscribers. I mean, dude, some of your videos, John. Who was it? Bleacher Report. Barstool. Barstool picked
Barstool,
up your
yeah.
video and you got like 75,000 views on a single video
Yeah.
because you were so loud and out there and people could relate
No,
to it.
that's true.
My content where I fail, I've gotten a lot better at it because I started going live. But before that, I would process info. I would I wouldn't script it all the time because I'd try to give an immediate reaction, but I'd process the info, I'd take thorough notes, then I'd make a game reaction, right? And it was good and it gave thorough information, but it wasn't raw and emotional like you did. So actually, I'll put it out there, you were my inspiration to go live
Really?
after the game reactions. Yes, because after every game, you would put a live reaction up immediately. And every
Right.
time you would get fantastic views. It was your bread and butter. I think it still is your bread and butter. You still get
Probably,
fantastic views
yes.
on it, right?
Yeah. I
So,
mean, you and I both know the views have dropped a lot because of the Nebraska fans are slowly tuning out through this season, which is kind of painful. But
painful,
yeah,
dude.
the people still tell me they watch. They're looking forward to the reaction videos. So I'll still be here.
Yeah, I'll be here too. Don's saying, where is it? Should we give y'all some space here? Don, I'm giving
Y'all
you
need a room.
Don, I'm giving you inside access to private conversations with other big Nebraska content creators. And you're over here acting like you don't want it. I know you love all this. I know you love the inside and seeing how me and John talk in our personal lives. Don's funny. You ever
Roger
watch
Moore says I'm tearing up.
so have you Jack says negativity sells. Doubling down. So what was my other
Yeah, I
question?
would really rather have some positivity now. I'm tired. I would love to, be, yay, we won, we beat up Illinois. That would be I'm ready for it. Huh.
It would change everything. I'll tell you what. It will change everything right now for Nebraska and my content, your content, everything online. If they just win this game, your views will be back up, mine will be back up, people will be engaged again, comments will be flowing, people will be positive, there will be hope, there will be belief. So, John, tonight I want you to say your prayers twice.
Okay. Twice.
Yep.
Okay.
I've got a Jewish roommate. He has the Torah, he has everything. So, I'm going to say Christian prayers, I'm going to say Jewish prayers. I'm going all in. This is the final stand for this season, right? 2-4 and 3-3 are vastly different.
Yeah, they are a lot different. They really
So
are a lot different.
hope for the best because it's going to be a long 7 weeks left of the season if they can't survive it in Champaign. But John,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm trying to let you get out of here. And I got to get out of here. So thank you for being on. I
Yeah, you
appreciate you
do.
as a
Yeah.
guest. You're awesome. You always have great takes. You always have good insight. So it's good to have you on the show. If you guys haven't subscribed to John's content, you go over to Corn Nation in the search bar. You'll find him there. John and I both have a relationship with a guy named Adam Carricker. I want you to go check out his channel too because I'm not sure if he hit 10,000 yet. He was close the last time I checked.
Right.
Adam's been a fantastic partner to my channel. I know John's worked with him too some. And because Adam wants to make sure he's bringing you guys the best content, we got to go and support him, make sure he's growing
Yep.
as much as we are because it just helps to get more people viewing all this content and ultimately bringing more subscribers to all of us because we're putting stuff out that kind of lines up. So if you haven't checked out Adam, make sure you do. He's been a great partner, like I said. Anyway, John, you can get out of here and I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
I'll hit you
All
on the
right.
Twitter
Thanks for
DMs.
having me. I enjoy talking to you too, Connor.
Of course. Talk soon.
Maybe we'll get a room at some point.
Good idea. I'll pay for it. Peace.
Good night.
Okay, guys. That was John Johnston, Corn Nation. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, like I said, on his content. You guys have already seen him, but he doesn't do as good of a job as hitting the or as pushing people to subscribe as I do. So even though he has some good views, his subscriber numbers aren't as good. But we love to support him, like I said. So thank you guys all for being here tonight. I appreciate the support a ton. I appreciate all of the comments in the chat box. And once this video is done, I'm going to go through and scroll through everything that I missed because, I read everything you guys tell me. It's just I try to catch it whenever I can because it's hard to do lives and check the chat at the same time. So with all that said, I will be live tomorrow night right after the Illinois game. Win or lose, I promise you, you will catch me right here, say 10 minutes after the game. So I hope to see you there. And thank you for being here. I'll see you in the next one. Go Big Red.